Welcome back, humor consumers, to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm comedian Tracy DeGraff.
I'm Cathrine, co-host, bestie.
Cathrine, here we are. Our topic today, the topic of the day.
It's a good one.
It is so good.
Yeah.
I am so glad we're doing it. The name of the disorder or condition that we're going to talk about today is one that I think is common and familiar with our audience.
Yeah, even though it's a new discovery in the science world in terms of giving it a name, it is common.
Right. And that
What's
is
the name of it?
Name of it is Misophonia.
Okay.
And tell our audience what misophonia is.
All right. Basically, it is sounds that drive you crazy.
Amen to that, sister.
Yes, and usually sounds caused by other people.
By the mouth.
That's right. Pen click, 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 click. Repetitive stuff that make you irate. And yes, chewing is one of them. Sometimes just the sound of a drip from a faucet actually can be one of them. And some of it can be as innocuous as papers rustling, a chip bag. It can trigger a fight or flight reaction in oneself.
Yes.
Yeah, can drive you crazy. That's it in a nutshell.
Right. So we're going to be talking about that today, friends, and we're going to cover not only the definition of misophonia, which we just did, but we're also going to talk about our own experiences with it, as well as how to manage it. Guess what? There's no cure for it. Unless if you like...
Wah, wah.
Unless if you just like take a night-night drink or something, or I don't know.
Or kill the
NyQuil. I feel terrible. I think I have a cold.
Where's the Visine?
Stop. Okay, so there's no cure for misophonia.
Yeah.
However, we can manage it.
There's hope.
There is definitely hope. There's always hope.
I was just about to say.
Always hope.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive in. You've described it. I think that especially women, I don't know, I'm sure that men suffer from this as well in terms of, the being annoyed by certain sounds. But I do know many women who suffer with this.
Yeah, and in the articles that we pulled up, I didn't see anything that proves that women suffer the most from it, but it does seem like that. Definitely.
In our personal experiences, yes.
Yes.
Okay, because I have mentioned this before on this podcast as well as to you as my bestie. Growing up, my sister had this so bad. Her reaction to our dad sitting at the table and eating, and he ate quickly and loudly.
Okay. Yeah.
And my poor sister she wouldn't even be able to take it for like a second.
Yeah,
she would have the fight or flight would come right into her brain, and so she would take off. Well, no way, couldn't eat there.
Good for her for recognizing that it's better that she remove herself from the situation rather than sit there and want to punch your dad.
Right. That would not have gone over well.
Right. That's exactly.
Yeah. And I definitely struggle with it as well with certain sounds. There are just certain sounds that send me.
Tell me what they are. Tell the audience. I know what they are. Tell the audience what they are.
Well, it definitely is. Okay. So like she said in the definition, it's repetitive sounds that are normal. Like it's a normal sound, like a breathing.
Right. That's it.
We all have to breathe.
Like, you sound like Darth Vader. Please quit.
Right. But obviously
you can't quit.
Can't quit breathing.
We want you to live.
Yes, please. Okay, so breathing is one. Another one for me is like chewing on
anything.
Well, yes, but specifically nail biting.
Okay.
Making noises, nail biting. That's a thing.
Not gum?
I'm not around people that chew gum, believe it or not. I'm not. But gum chewing definitely does bother me. Yes, it does. But thankfully, I'm not around people that chew. My husband does not chew gum.
I don't chew gum anymore. Because of you.
Well,
and I don't wear perfume because of you. Okay. Side note.
Are you? What are you?
Oh, we just prayed.
What are you really
we just
saying?
Prayed for grace.
Yeah. What are you saying? It's
you have
hard to be my friend.
Issues. Anyway, Back to what we're
Right.
talking about, the
Right.
gum chewing. Do you remember when we went to Ladies' Day at Olivet? No, it was couples night at Olivet's.
Okay.
And right next to you was a woman that was the whole time.
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
Yeah.
I could hear her too.
It's tough.
And she was right next to you.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe people that are listening are resonating with this. So gum chewing, breathing, biting your nails, regular food chewing, like at the table, chewing.
Yes. Somebody fidgeting.
Picking at something, like picking at toenails, like picking at it.
Pick.
Yeah.
Pick.
Yeah. Or clicking. Sorry.
Click of a pen. We're going to town now.
I'm getting excited. Like a constant repetitive sound.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one. This is so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a repetitive, like petting, like of hand on fabric.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Like stroking.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to describe it other than it drives me nuts
Yeah.
to hear the sound repetitively.
Yeah.
And what else? Can you think of any that
I can.
bother you? What
Yes.
else? What else?
So
Are we still on me, on my disorder? Are we going to talk about you?
Oh, no, we're done.
Okay,
with
good.
you. Now
Okay,
we're going to move on to
But
my
if
poor
you think-
husband. I'm going to throw my husband under.
Okay, go ahead.
No. It is Kenny. I do feel bad in a way. But I realize too that this is a condition that I guess I have. I'm hypersensitive
Right.
to the sounds. So my husband innocently, like even just when we're praying, if I hear him fidgeting, like he's got an itch on his nose, and I'm actually taking my finger and scratching my nose right now, like
Right.
So-
or wiggling his toes.
I was just going to say, rubbing his toes onto either the piece of furniture or his feet together
Each other.
like a cricket. There's times where I'm like, oh, please, Lord. All I could think of was a cricket. And I should just be glad my husband's praying with me. But he's a cricket.
Sorry.
Sorry. It's true. My mind goes off with these little tangents.
I'm married to a cricket. Jiminy Cricket.
Kenny the cricket. It's better than Kenny the cockroach, which Archie Bunker used to say.
Oh, stop.
All right.
Whew.
Okay. Where were we?
Well, we were talking about the things that trigger us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we know. Well, what else? What other sounds?
You could tell,
trigger-
right? By my
Right.
face.
Yes, I could tell. You got something else to say.
Chips. Somebody in a bag of chips, like the bag rustling. The sound of that.
Yeah.
Wrappers, paper rustling, even.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I have issues. I realize this.
Okay. This, what you're describing is this disorder or condition, this misophonia. That is how it is described. It's like a repetitive sound, and it's specific to humans,
Yes. Let's talk about the little
Okay.
clip on Dr. Phil.
Okay, so we watched this little video clip on YouTube, and it was Dr. Phil talking about misophonia, and he had this woman on there, and she was with this man whom they were supposed to be engaged.
Right.
But they were calling off the relationship because of this woman's hypersensitivity to his sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Phil was blaming her.
She was definitely under fire.
Yes.
And she took it well. I would have been a little more defensive, I think. Perhaps she was deep down.
Right. But it felt like, from my perspective, it felt like they were teaming up on her.
Yes,
And
definitely.
like she was being sort of, assaulted.
Well, because Dr.
Dr. Pill.
Dr. Phil was saying to her that he asked her, would you agree that this is situational? And she said, well, I guess so, because his point was that if she were around a pig, she could control herself and not be annoyed. It wouldn't bother her as much.
Right.
Then why can't she tolerate the husband? And, I'm sitting here thinking before Tracy and I paused it
and talked.
and yeah. We have certain expectations of a human being who, especially one who
That
is your
we're married to.
lifelong partner, your
Right.
spouse.
Yeah.
Even your child is not an animal, much less a pig.
Right.
So how that I can't even wrap my brain around that. But this was an actual episode.
Yeah.
Dr. Phil is saying, well, you can control it when you're around a pig.
Right.
This poor woman at some point did say, but
it's a pig. I know. And that's what I think that was my exact response as well. Mm-hmm. That's normal behavior for a pig. Mm-hmm. I didn't marry a pig. I don't sleep with the pig. I didn't have children with the pig.
Oh, right. No kidding.
Yeah. So that was an example, in my opinion, of kind of a. It was for nuts. I think it was just for TV.
Oinker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we disagree with Dr. Phil. Dr. Pill. Okay. So we definitely are acknowledging that we both suffer from this condition.
Yeah.
And while I don't think that our current condition of this misophonia is extreme, like let's say you have a spectrum, right? Of from you have a little annoyance to you can't stand it, and in fact you're going to divorce your husband over it. Mm-hmm. No, we're not at either one of those. Mm-hmm. We're somewhere in between. No, Catherine's like, maybe. No, you obviously we've been married to our husbands, who, by the way, are sponsoring this podcast. Oh, yes. So thank you.
That's right, Puffin.
Mm-hmm, appreciate it. Mm-hmm. We're not going to leave them over the Slurpee sounds or whatever. Mm-hmm. But on the other end of the spectrum, it's not like we're not annoyed either. We're somewhere in between.
Yeah.
What do we do? Mm-hmm. What do we do about it?
Well, you could possibly leave the room or put on earphones.
Okay.
Headphones.
And, honestly, the reason that we're sitting here talking right now is because last night I left the room. We were watching TV. Mm-hmm. And trying to get into this show that I wasn't really that into anyway. It was a Netflix show. It was like a psycho, what do they call it?
Thriller?
It was, yeah.
Psychological
Yeah,
thriller?
It was like that. Okay. And I was just really not that into it. Mm-hmm. But on top of that, I can't remember now if it was nail biting or picking. I don't think it was eating.
I thought you told me it was nail biting.
I think it was nail biting, nail chewing. Almost nail eating. I couldn't take it. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes I give the look, the look.
Oh, yeah. I've got a couple of them.
I could kill you with my eyes look. You know that look.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he knows the look, too.
Oh, sure he does.
And he's like, what? I'm like, and then you give the you-know-what look?
Yes. Yes. When Kenny and I are eating.
Yeah.
It depends on my mood, but sometimes I'll give him the lighthearted warning look. That's a look like, you're doing it.
The lighthearted warning.
If I'm really in a mood and that trigger hits me, it's more like we are getting a divorce. Not really.
Or we're going to be featured on Dateline. So
yeah. But those looks are real. And they are, like I cannot take that.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Yeah. And then when you give the look, right? Mm-hmm. And they know the look too. I mean, we've been married to these guys for over 30 years or whatever. You've been together for that long. We've been married that long, whatever. Okay. So when you give the look, they know the look. And they can probably pretty much interpret if this is a I'm annoyed look or it's about to go down look. Okay. Mm-hmm. They know why you're giving the look.
Oh, yeah.
They know exactly why. Mm-hmm. And then they might give their own look. And then, and then they give the what.
Yeah.
like they don't know. But everybody knows. Everybody knows.
I think, Kenny is good at diffusing the situation. Ron is too.
Yes.
And a lot of times Kenny will say, well, my mouth is closed. And I'm like, I know. But now you have a new sound. I call it the party inside the mouth. And I don't know. I just, yes.
Catherine also refers to it as the washing machine. Like it's going inside the mouth.
It's closed.
Yeah. But there's a lot of sounds and moisture and sloshing.
Moisture.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Here's an interesting thing that my husband does that helps to diffuse the situation, which I really appreciate about him. he will go over the top, like in a funny way. So then he'll imitate
a pig.
Right. And go over the top. And then that breaks the tension and makes me laugh. And I really do appreciate that. And it's so weird to me. Why does it annoy me? But then when he exaggerates it, it's just funny. You know what I mean?
I do. It's interesting too. We watched this other little quick video from an audio specialist, and he had on was she a neurologist person? That
yes, she was an audiologist, some sort of audio doctor.
And she was saying that, this stems from childhood.
Right.
And it made me think, yes, I definitely grew up in, manners and etiquette mattered at the table big time. I mean, we were punished for lots of things. Elbows on the table, sitting, if we weren't sitting up straight when eating, taking your time to eat, and absolutely eat with your mouth closed. That was huge. So I started to think about that, and I was thinking, what emotion do I feel when someone who's close to me, especially, is eating where I consider it embarrassing, and that was it. It hit me like, yeah, I'm embarrassed, and I kind of feel bad saying it, but it's a real thing, and people aren't perfect. I'm not perfect. So it does trigger this thing in me, this emotional response. And I think it stems from my childhood.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, she said it, first of all, and you resonated with it because of your story. And as I said, I can remember being a child and having that at our dinner table being an issue. So perhaps that is the case with many people who suffer from this hypersensitivity to these sounds, is that it began somewhere early on, and it gives you it's a trigger.
Yeah.
And then when it's triggered, there's the response, and it's not a normal response. It's a hypersensitivity.
Yeah.
So I say, I leave the room last night when Ron was like, chewing on his fingernail.
Like a cartoon sound. Exaggerating.
So I leave the room and I start Googling what's it called when you're so, upset by certain sounds.
I wondered why you sent me that last night.
So that's what I was doing. I was in our bedroom Googling this stuff and listening to, doctors talk about it. And then I sent it to you, and I also sent it to my sister because, I was so into it then. So then Ron comes in, and I go to him, I have a condition.
And you're in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And he's probably like,
his eyes get
condition?
wide. He's like, what's wrong? And I go, it's a condition. And we got into a conversation about it. Yeah. And then not related to this last 24 hours, but a few days ago, I was again saying to him, it's so gross when you pick your toes. And then he said right away, he's like, well, I'm pretty sure I stood on part of your foot because you picked off some skin.
It's like hair in the drain.
Okay. And so then I laughed,
Yeah.
Laughter really is amazing. I mean, obviously our podcast is Life Happens, Laugh Anyway. And this topic is one that I think that we can laugh about, obviously. Yeah. Because you and I can just relate. Oh,
yeah.
I'm sure there are people listening who can relate.
Yeah.
And this is them.
Yeah. And it's like those, you say it all the time, tragedy, although this is not tragic, plus time equals comedy. Right. And we can laugh at these matters now, but in the moment, I'm not kidding. I am really irritated by a lot of these things. But it's funny. My cousin, Christy, one time sent me, she saw something come up on Facebook, I think, and then she sent it to me, and it was, this is me when I hear someone chewing, and it's funny. It was a cartoon picture of somebody's eyes wide, like, I mean big, like saucers, and the person's teeth are like somebody having a nervous conniption.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it was in response to another person chewing. But it's so it makes you laugh when you see that because it's
real.
Unexplainable. Yeah.
And it's real.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and what we've learned in our research is that in the mental health community, this is definitely being studied now. There hasn't in the past been a whole lot of research on it, but it's starting to come to the surface of, let's do some more studies and let's dig deeper into why is it like this and how can we help?
Yeah.
Right? So it's not this disorder. It is named. I don't even think it's a disorder. I think it's just a condition.
Yeah. I'm looking it up again.
Yeah. What is it called? It's called miso-phone-ia. Misophonia or misophonia. I'm not sure on the pronunciation.
It sounds like they pronounced it both ways.
Yes, I've heard it both ways. But it has a name, but it's not in like the big book of mental disorders or diseases or whatever. So perhaps it just hasn't been studied enough to put it in that category, or it's not considered something that, is life-threatening or lifestyle-threatening. Although I did just read about the 14-year-old girl who was bringing a lawsuit against her school because she couldn't go to school because they allow gum chewing in school and she can't sit and stand the sound of gum chewing. I was surprised they allow gum chewing because they did not allow it when I was in school.
They did when our kids went to school.
Did they?
Yeah.
Well,
because some kids could... it
better?
comforted it comforted some of them, and they were able to like my daughter, actually, Emily, she fidgets, and so to stop physical fidgeting in other ways, the gum chewing satisfied that fidget.
So interesting. Because it helps one but it annoys another.
And
there you go. Well, she lost her lawsuit, by the way. They were going to appeal, but...
Well, it is a hard one, I would think, to win because she's one person.
True.
And her case is severe. So you can't adjust an entire society around one person's condition.
That's true. But at the same time, if you're really triggered by that and you can't focus, I can have empathy with whomever that person would be as well. So there's, two sides to every pancake, they say. All right, let's see. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention about the definition of misophonia or our own experiences?
Well, no, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, let's go on to how to manage it. What say you?
Well, we can leave the room. We could put on headphones.
Yeah.
Put on some white noise. There is now, because there is now some awareness of this. I mean, your doctor might not know about it or know enough about it, but if you look into it just like we did, you're going to find that there are clinics throughout the U.S. that have treatments such as auditory distraction, which is like a white noise or headphones, and cognitive behavioral therapy. And they have shown some success in improving functioning. And also, for more information, contact the Misophonia Association.
Wow. I didn't even know there was an association.
Yeah, this is coming from a Harvard article.
Okay.
And I'll name it real quick. Harvard Health Publishing. And it's titled Misophonia, When Sounds Really Do Make You Crazy, in quotes.
Yeah. This article from healthline.com, it says the bottom line, this is in like what to do about it. It says most people with misophonia find it possible to overcome its challenges. In other words, getting support could make a big difference. And they listed some of the same things that you just said, like use a noise canceling headphone. Like, let's say, for example, that someone that's listening, because it's not to that point for me in terms of when Ron and I are eating together. Usually we're both eating and I'm not bothered by his sounds because I'm making sounds of my own. You know what I mean? Chewing a salad or whatever. But if that's the case where you can't stand to eat with your partner, put on some nice music in the room. Fill the room with some music to absorb, some of the sound so that you're not hypersensitive. Perhaps it'll work. And if that doesn't do it, like having on a speaker outside, of music in the room, try putting on headphones with music in your ears so that you're still there with your loved one eating, but you just aren't hearing them eat. Although when you put on headphones and then you eat, it makes your sound. I don't know if you could do it, because then you hear the sound of yourself eating.
And you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said if you want to eat with your loved one. And I was just thinking, and if you want to stay loving your loved one, you have to do something. I do have to say that having other sounds around me, that doesn't help me. Because we're sitting at the same table, I can clearly hear him, even if there is music in the background or something, even if it's something pleasant. Yeah. My spectrum, I guess you could say, of this condition is teetering on high, I think, and I can't. That doesn't work. Okay.
Another thing would be just putting in regular earplugs, like the little foam ones that I wear.
Yeah.
I wear those. I just try it. Some of these things may not work, but maybe they will. And then one of the last things that it says here is to politely ask the person making the sound to stop. Honestly, okay, we laughed about the looks and all that. But if you can explain the condition, and if your loved one can understand that this is not something that you can just turn off. You're working on it, And so if your loved one can back it up a little bit, like maybe they need to slow down when they're eating, or be more mindful of the noises that they're making, or not chew their fingernails off. In your presence.
I'm just remembering one of the times that poor Kenny, I gave him the look, and he's like, my mouth is closed. And I said, I see that. Your mouth is closed. And I said, open
What?
I said, open your mouth. What are you doing? And so I had him demonstrate, like him eating.
With his mouth open?
No. But if I recall right, I said to him, okay, just do it again. Just eat like you would. And I tried to figure out, are you swishing it around with your tongue? What are you doing? Like, I tried to understand. And it didn't help.
Well,
but here's the sport that my husband is.
Yeah.
He's like, okay.
I'll try.
So he did it. And he just, shrugged. And I was like, I don't know.
I think this is a great segue into our scripture that we want to share, because in any marriage, it takes two.
It takes two to make things go right.
It definitely takes two. And it takes both parties wanting to serve the other party, wanting to encourage the other party. We're all broken. We're all a mess. Okay, so the people that suffer with this condition of misophonia are a mess, and they're broken. And the people who annoy the misophonia people are also broken. We're just trying to find a way to stick it out, to stay together and to put one foot in front of the other.
That's right.
So let's read the scripture. It's Romans 15:5. This is a great passage. May the God who gives endurance and encouragement give you the same attitude of mind toward each other that Christ Jesus had.
Yes.
That's what's going to get us to the finish line.
That's right.
It's that mindset that Christ Jesus had of encouragement and endurance. That's what's going to get us through. And what was Christ's mindset? It was humble, and it was giving and serving and considering the other person's needs above his own needs. Today is the Saturday before Easter. Yeah. Tomorrow's Easter Sunday. What Christ did on the cross is the most selfless, loving act that there ever was or ever will be.
Yeah.
So for those of us who struggle with this misophonia and for those of us that trigger it, if we can do the best that we all can to minimize the effects of it, we're going to be okay.
Yeah. And I'm reminded of how just last night we were reminded at the Good Friday service that Jesus was 100% man.
Yes, he was.
That means that he experienced all human feelings, thoughts, the same things we're talking about. And yet that's what he did. He put others before himself. It's amazing because he was completely man.
Yeah.
In the flesh.
Yeah. So let's remember that, everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody who eats, breathes, picks, pets, sniffles.
I want to add
crunches.
one more thing too.
What?
I was thinking as we were doing this that is this a form of autism because of the sensitivity to the noise? And one of the specialists that we discussed earlier, they did point out this is not on the same level as autism in any way. It's totally different. Just in case you were curious, wanted to add that.
Well, it's sensory issues. One of the issues that I thought of when I was reading about the hypersensitivity is I forget the name of the condition, but it's a high sensitivity to tags in clothing that certain people have.
Oh, yeah.
There's a name for that.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, I forget what it is, but it's a thing. Well, okay, so this is similar to that. It's not a normal reaction. It's a hypersensitive reaction. And it is a real thing. If you really struggle with it, you're not crazy. It's not a disorder. They might label it a disorder down the road, but right now it just has this name, misophonia, and it's just an adverse negative reaction to repetitive sound. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
And there is no cure, there is no pill, there is no treatment.
You're
for
not
it.
crazy.
Yeah, but you can manage it.
Yeah,
that's the good news.
Good.
So it's going to take some work. All right.
We always have good news.
Yeah, we all have an assignment. All right. Well, you've been listening to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm still comedian Tracy DeGraff.
I'm still Cathrine.
See you next time.